Hi, I'm Sarah from KnittingSarah.com, and today I'm going to walk you through how to use the Kitchener stitch to close up your toe on your Churchmouse Yarns and Teas basic sock in 2 gauges. Of course, before I begin, I need to remind you that if you're knitting along with me on this pattern, that you should have personally purchased a copy. Also, while I will do my very best to be clear, the ideal way to learn any new knitting skill is hands-on from a skilled teacher at your local yarn shop or with a good knitting friend. Please note, this demo will be following the fingering weight version of the pattern. If working the sport or DK weight version, please refer to your pattern for the correct stitch counts for your sock. Once you've completed your toe shaping and you have 16 stitches remaining, you are ready to graft the toe. Using Kitchener stitch to graft the toe is ideal because the grafting will be smooth and invisible, so it will be very comfortable and it will look nice. So the first thing you'll need to do, because you have 4 stitches on needle 1, 8 on needle 2, and 4 on needle 3, is you're going to go ahead and knit the 4 stitches from needle 1 onto needle 3. Now what you should have is 8 stitches on one needle and 8 stitches on another. Turn your work so that the working yarn is coming off the back needle. Now, with your scissors, cut a length of yarn roughly 18 inches long and thread it onto a yarn needle. Now, there are 2 things to remember when you're working Kitchener stitch. 1 is the direction you're going into each stitch, and 2 is whether or not you're going to knock the stitch off your needle. Now, for those of you following along for this sock, you'll be able to do exactly what I do. You can follow along on your pattern, of course. Insert your needle as if to knit in the front needle, the first stitch on the front needle, and pull it off. Insert your needle into the second stitch on the front needle as if to purl, and leave it on that needle. You don't need to pull your yarn tight. I usually just like to make it snug. Now go to the back needle. Oops, make sure your yarn isn't moved around it. Go to the back needle, enter the first stitch on the back needle as if to purl. Pull that stitch off the needle. Now enter the first stitch on the back needle as if to knit, and leave it on the needle. Now we'll go back and start the process again. Front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl, pull it off. Back as if to knit, leave it on. Now do be careful that you don't accidentally knock stitches off your needles when you're working this close to the tips like I am. It's very easy to do. Front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl, pull it off. Back as if to knit, leave it on. Front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl, pull it off. Back as if to knit, leave it on. Front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl, pull it off. And back as if to knit, leave it on. Front, front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl, pull it off. Back as if to knit, leave it on. Gets a little harder as you get near the end. Front as if to knit, pull it off. Front as if to purl, leave it on. Back as if to purl. Oops, almost lost one. Alright, back as if to purl, let it come off, and back as if to knit, leave it on. Now you're down to your last 2 stitches. So you will go into this one, front as if to knit, pull it off, back as if to purl, pull it off. And what you'll have is an invisible grafted edge. Now you can even out the tension so that it matches your knitting, but it should be pretty good. From here, just take your end, pass it through to the inside, and weave your end in, and your sock is complete. Congratulations!